This is your one and only 𝐈𝐸𝐻81 with your daily dose of video goodness, and today we are going to cover anything and everything you could want to know about servants in V Rising. Let's get to it. So first off, in order to get servants, you're going to need to go through the process of following your journal steps up here and just do what the journal tells you until you lock the vampire power dominating presence. Once you have that, you can begin to collect servants. In order to activate this ability, you just need to drag it down to your scroll wheel here if it doesn't go down there automatically when you unlock it, and then you just hold down Control and highlight over it, and that will make it active. Once it's active, you can see here it changed my current powers. So if I unequip it, you can see I have my normal powers down here. Once I equip that, I cannot use any of those. I only have Kiss of the Vampire is my only ability. Activating this shoots out a little bolt there, and you can see it lines up an area straight in front of us and activates a little bolt. And if we hold down the ability, we can just continuously cast it over and over again. It doesn't really have a cooldown. Once you hit the target, you will lock onto the target and you will start to channel the ability. Now you'll note that when you first do this, if you do it to a target that is full health, it slowly ticks down their health until they get to a low health threshold, and then it will kick in and make them follow you. This is why it is a good idea to weaken the target first before you try to use this ability on them, because it's going to leave you vulnerable while you are channeling it. So you want to channel it as little time as possible. If you're in a situation where you are channeling it and you need to get out, just hit X on your keyboard and that will pop you out of it. Once you have the target in your trance, they will follow you, and they will follow you pretty well. You can see here, I'm on a horse and I'm sprinting, and our follower is keeping up with us relatively well. Two other things to point out is that this spell does not work on animals. You cannot make animals a follower, and also they will not fight while they are following you. In order to make them a servant, you will need to have a coffin for them. If we go into build here, we go to production and we go to dominance. That is where your servant coffins are located. You can see they're going to cost you 16 planks, 8 copper ingots, and 1 greater blood essence. Once you bring the servant to an empty coffin and you begin the conversion process, you will bind them to that coffin. This allows you to manage the servant, doing things like summoning them and terminating them, changing their name, seeing what ability or what perks they have available, seeing what their current activity is. What it will not allow you to do is manage their tasks. In order to do that, you will need to have a throne, and we'll get into that more here in a minute. You can see I have a throne here. In order to begin the conversion process, you will need to have blood essence on your character, and it's going to cost you, so far it's always cost me 100. I don't know if that's going to change at any point if you have different level servants, but so far it's only ever cost me 100 essence to begin the conversion process. Once you begin the conversion process, it will take some time to convert them. You can see here it's going to take me 44 minutes to convert this person, and that is because I have the coffins on the crypt floor. You can see here if I highlight over this here, it says has matching floor, crypt floor, and that reduces the time it takes to convert them by 50%. Once the conversion process is done, you can give them a name. This doesn't really matter too much because, as you can see here on my other ones, you can rename them at any time. Once you have selected a name for them and you're ready to finish the conversion process, you just click Rise, and then they will pop out of the coffin, and now they are your servant. One thing I highly recommend doing is making sure that you have servant doors that they cannot access on all of the external doors to your castle, because if you don't, they will go out and walk the grounds if there is grounds for them to walk. So if we come out here and I go into build mode and you look to see where I have areas claimed, you can see I don't have any claimed area here. My claimed area stops right here. So they won't walk past this, but if I have claimed area going out and around, they will go outside and walk around in that claimed area. So if you don't want them to do that, just put the servant door that has this little symbol on it here. And if I go back into build mode and we go to castle, we go to our doors here, you want the servant lock gate. Once again, though, they will only walk around in the area that you have claimed. So if I did not have this door on here, they would not walk outside because I don't have any claimed area. You can see here, I actually do not have it on this door, but I don't have any claimed area outside this door, so I don't have to worry about them walking around outside. Also note your servants will help you defend your base. I don't know if I'll be able to do this or not. I'll try to maybe kite some of these wolves in here and show you, But if these wolves run inside, you can see he's going to town and attacking the wolves. So if you have any enemies in your base, all of your servants will jump to the rescue there and defend your base. So if you want your servants to patrol outside to defend the perimeter of your base, you can have that happen pretty easily by just making sure there is a perimeter of claimed area outside of your base. You can equip, and you should equip, your servants with armor, weapons, and jewelry. This is going to boost their overall power. You can see here on this guy, I have him equipped with a bunch of stuff, and he has a power of 402 and a gear level of 43. He also has an expertise of 4%. The higher this is, the better, because this is going to increase their overall power, and we'll get into power here in a second. If you want to send your servants out on missions, you will need a throne. If we set on the throne here, it will bring up this menu here, which is a version of the map that has locations that you can send your servants to. If you highlight over those locations, it shows you what resources they're going to bring back. So for example, from this location here, I can have them bring back cotton, sunflowers, wool thread, general area loot, and blood essence. If I click on this area, you can see that this has a power rating of 450. If they have the sacred resistance, it will reduce this rating by 100. So if they have this perk here, it will turn this 450 to a 350. So for a gear rating, they will only need 350. If they have the Dunley Farmlands Hunter perk, it will increase the amount of loot that they can generate from this area by 20%. When I go to select a servant, I only have the servants that are in this castle bound to coffins that are in this castle. So I have another castle that's all the way down here, and I have a servant in this castle. If we teleport down here, you can see here is Better Bob. He's hanging out down here. He actually has just recently come back from a mission and has loot on him, and I'll show you how much he got back from that here in a second. But if I set on this throne in this castle, and I click on one of these areas, and I click this to add a unit here, you can see I only have the option for Better Bob, even though I have a bunch of servants in that other castle, as you just saw. So whichever castle you bring your servants back to once you have them following you and bind them to a coffin, that's the castle that they're linked to, and that's the castle you're going to send them on missions from. If anything happens to the coffin that they're bound to, you will lose that servant. So if I was to destroy this coffin, I would lose Better Bob here. It would be the same as if I went into the coffin and I terminated him. So now let's talk about sending our servants on missions. So in order to send your servants on missions, as I stated before, you need a throne. Once you have a throne, you set in the throne, and that will bring up this screen here. All of these areas that you see highlighted in white are areas in which you can send your servants out on missions. If you highlight over these areas, it shows you the possible loot that you can get from said area. So for example, if I'm looking for a bunch of iron and I don't want to go harvest it myself, I could send my servants to here. If I click on it, you can see I have the option to send up to 3 servants to this location. Now, not every location allows you to send multiple servants. Some locations, or most locations, only allow you to send 1 servant. You'll notice up here that we have some icons that you saw before on the servants, as well as the 2 swords and a number. This is the power level that the servant needs in order to be successful at this site when we send them to it. These symbols here are possible perks that your servants could have, and they each do different things. For example, if they have the Sacred Resistance perk, it reduces the difficulty of this mission by 100. So it would take this 450 and bring it down to 350 instead. Note that you cannot stack this. So if you have a location where you can send multiple units, if I come over here, I have 2 units that have the humble appearance. If I select this first one, you can see it goes down to 150. If I select the second one, you can see it remains at 150. What I do want to point out though is when you can send multiple units, they do get a bonus to their rating. So you can see that this one here, which has no gear and has a power rating of 0, now has a power rating of 25. This one now effectively has a power rating of 427. If you do not want to go on said mission, or you just want to reset this screen and you don't want to back all the way out, if you hit exit, it's going going to back all the way out. Just click another place, and if we go back to this one, you can see it has cleared the selections here. You can also just click anywhere on this screen to clear this out if you do not want to send them on a mission. So if I just click here and we click back here, you can see it's cleared out, and we can select them again. So when you're sending a unit on a mission, it's really important that you match up both of these symbols. You can see if they have the Dunley Farms Hunter, they get a plus 20% to the resources that they're going to bring back. If we click on this one, you can see that if they have the Farbane Hunter, they're going to get a plus 20% on the loot that they bring back. You don't necessarily have to have the first perk match up if you have a really high gear level on your unit, but it is definitely going to be helpful to you to match that symbol up in the early to mid game when you don't have a ton of just expendable resources in order to give your units extremely high gear. Let's talk about the amount of resources you're going to get, efficiency, and all of this other stuff down here. So if I select one of my units here, we're going to select Casper, since Casper has a nice high rating here, and we'll lower this down. So you can see here that this is a power rating of 500, but Casper is only a 402. However, as I stated before, Casper has the humble appearance, which will reduce this by 100 because it matches up with the humble appearance here. So we're going to select, and now you can see that it goes down to 400, and Casper has a rating of 402. This gives us a 100% success chance. You can see here that our estimated loot is between 32 to 39 cloth, 40 to 49 scrolls, some blood essence, 19 to 23 wool thread, and some general area loot. It is going to take 23 hours for the unit to complete this mission. The chance of injury is 20%, and we get a plus 20% bonus to our success chance, but our success chance is going to be 100 no matter what we set this slider at. So if we set it at just a normal, we're not preparing at all. You can see here, carefully planned, and then we go to even more carefully planned. This is just normal here in the yellow, and we get no bonus to our success chance. If we take it here into the red where we're going reckless, it's going to give us a negative 10% success chance, but that's not going to affect our score. You can see here, we still have 100%. This updates, and I will show you that here in a second as you're doing this slider. And we take it all the way down, we still have, even though we have this negative 20% success chance, we still have 100% success rate. Now we do increase our chance of injury, and this is something that is updated as well, and it doesn't show here, but even though we have 100% success chance, we still have a 30% chance of injury. If your unit gets injured when they come back, you cannot send them on another mission for 60 minutes. That's all that is. They're just out of commission for 60 minutes. After that, you can send them on a mission again. As far as efficiency goes, in almost every case, your most efficient way to do this, to get the max amount of resources possible, is to send them on the 2-hour missions. If you take a look here, we're going to gain between 10 and 13 cloth. If we take this all the way up to 24, we're only going to gain between 32 and 39 cloth. In order to gain 30 cloth from the 2-hour missions, we would need to send them on 3 missions, which would only be 6 hours, and we would gain about the same amount that we would gain going on the 23-hour mission. If we sent them on 4 2-hour missions, it would only be 8 hours, and that would gain us more resources than sending them on a 23-hour mission. But this means that you need to be there to get the resources off of them and send them back out immediately. So depending on how much time you have to play, it may be a good idea to mix this up. If you know you're going to play for 2 hours, send them on a 2-hour mission. Then when they get back, collect the resources. If you know you're not going to get to play again for another 8 hours or even 23 hours, then select one of those and send them out again. That way, when you log back in next, they will be back with a bunch of resources. And then you can just collect those resources and immediately send them on a mission again. So if we do this setup here, you can see that Casper has a 72% chance of being successful at this mission. And as I lower this, you can see that this success rate updates, as I stated before, in real time. So when it says 100% and you bring it all the way down to 2 hours and it still says 100%, even though you see this negative 20% success chance, they still have a 100% chance of success. I just sent Better Bob out yesterday, and he has come back today, and he has resources on him. I sent him over here to the copper mine because I wanted an abundance of copper, and he brings an abundance of copper back. You can see here, he has not only brought me a ton of copper, he's also brought back clay, some of this 𝐆-𝐏𝐻𝐿𝐴 clarion, some bones, some coarse thread, some paper, 28 blood essence, and some animal hide. So I can take all of that from him because he has to have an empty inventory if I'm going to send him out. If I just put a little bit of that in his inventory here and we go to send him, you can see it says has items in inventory and I cannot select him. So make sure they do not have any items in their inventory before you try to send them out again. So now let's cover expertise and how it relates to gear and attack power. So expertise is directly related to their blood quality when you capture them. The higher the blood quality percentage they have, the higher expertise they are going to have. And this makes a big difference when it comes to the efficiency of their gear. If we take a look here at Best Bob, he has an expertise of 13%. If we put this ring on him, you can see that that gives him a power of 122 and a gear level of 12. We're going to take that off. We're going to come over here to Karen, who only has an expertise of 3%. We put this on her. You can see that she only has a power of 111. Now the gear level stays the same because the gear level of the ring is 12. So they're both going to have 12. But you can see that Bob got much more power from this than she did. If I put the pants on her as well, you can see she goes to 148. If we come back over here to Bob and I put the ring and the pants on him, you can see he goes to 163. Finding people with high quality blood to make them your servants is going to pay off in the long run because that is going to mean you will be able to put them in lower quality gear and still send them to higher power level locations. And this is going to in turn result in a higher chance of a success rate and allow you to be able to do things like send them on reckless missions and have 100% chance of success rate much easier. Let's talk about the different zones because you want to send the people to the zone at which you capture them in. So for example, right here, you can see there's a pretty clear line across here. This is all the Farbane Woods. So the Farbane Hunter is going to be the perk that you get from everybody that is from this line down. This section here, if we highlight, is going to be the Dunley Farms Hunter. So you want to, if you need to send somebody to any of these locations, you want to grab them from this location. Same thing over here. You can see the Silverlight Hunter, and that is this location here. And then up top here, we have the Cursed Forest. So you would want to get people with the Cursed Forest Hunter. So you grab thralls from this location up here. This other perk that they have, so for example, this one has Sacred Resistance, this one has the Tenacious Strength, and this one has the Military Tactics, is all based on the blood type. Humble Appearance is always going to be on anybody with worker blood. Military Tactics is always going to be on warrior blood. Sacred is always going to be on scholar blood. Tenacious is always going to be on the brutes. And Tracking is always going to be for your rogues. All right, and I think that pretty much covers everything. If y'all have any questions or if I missed anything, let me know down in the comments section. If you have any other tips about servants, let us know about them down there in the comments section as well. If you found this video helpful and informational, consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other videos. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to my supporters on Patreon for making this episode possible. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to join my League or Patreon supporters, please check out the link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and show your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.